Breaking today, a major new celebrity feud between Tommy Robinson and Gary Lineker. Not two people who I ever thought I would put in the same sentence. But Tommy has kicked off at the axed BBC Sports auto cue reader, writing message for Gary Lineker and every other virtue signaller putting our women and children in danger. And he then posted this furious video. Watch.
Hey, Gaza. Now the statistics are coming out about all the migrants in the hotels. Let's have a look at them. 18 British women raped by migrants staying in hotels. So we house them, we feed them, we fund everything with our taxpayers' money. They come into the hotels and then they rape our daughters or our mothers. It's 18 rapes, Gary. You're the wanker holding up signs saying refugees welcome.
Based and Bougie and Stef, the Ultra Nerd of the Political Nerd podcast on YouTube, here on the Superstar panel today. Based and Bougie, you're an ally of Tommy Robinson, have been for some time. Is he correct to really start targeting part of this liberal lefty elite like Gary Lineker, who I would argue have allowed their virtue signalling to unleash this type of hell that we're now seeing on the British population? Isn't it time to hold the refugee welcome wankers, in Tommy's words, to account?
He has absolute every right to be this frustrated, because let's remember that Tommy Robinson has been spending more than a decade exposing a lot of the things that we are seeing today. He's been exposing the fact that multiculturalism is not working. He's been exposing the grooming gangs. He's been exposing the violence coming from certain communities, and he's actually been persecuted for it time and time again. He's lost almost everything because of this, so he has every right to be angry. Now, people like this Larry guy, I just don't understand why people idolize him, why people look up to him. What has he done? What has he contributed? What has he sacrificed? And this is what I find with people on the left. The reason why they have so much time to fight for the rights for migrants to go out and rape children is because they live a privileged life. Larry, when he goes home to a mansion. In fact, I even saw an article where he invited a migrant into his home to kind of prove that he was this good guy. He was all about refugees. But the real question is how many migrants did he invite? And how long did they stay there for? And why didn't he invite more? Because he knows there's an issue here. You can't just mix in two cultures in one home and expect things to work. So Tommy Robinson has every right to be angry because these people, they are not in tune with reality. They're not.
Stef, the alternate, do you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree. At the end of the day, Gary Lineker or anyone else turning around and saying, yay, let's welcome the illegal immigrants in. As far as I'm concerned, is turning around and saying, yay, let's welcome an ideology and society that's not compatible with British culture and British laws. And I say that because it's been reported we are now the UK, the Western capital for Sharia courts. We've got over 80 of them in our country. They're not integrating. As far as a lot of us are concerned, they're trying to take over. And that's the problems that we've got when it comes to this mass illegal immigration coming in. Gary Lineker saying, yeah, let's welcome the illegal immigrants, to me is essentially saying, let's welcome all the problems that they're introducing to our society as well. No.
Yeah, and I mean, when Gary Lineker, because I do remember this was a total PR stunt, because he had made a front page pledge to take refugees. And then all of a sudden, people like me were like, hang on a moment, have you ever done that? So he took this bloke in for a matter of weeks, and then was out of the house. And the reality is, that's a totally unrealistic situation, isn't it? If you're enjoying what we're doing here on Outspoken, please consider joining our thriving community over on Substack, www.outspoken.live. You can sign up completely for free, but Substack is so important to me. It is a free speech platform. It protects me from big tech cancellation. Plus, you get to communicate directly with me. Head on over www.outspoken.live, enter your email address, and sign up today.
Of course, it's a totally unrealistic situation because, again, the majority of the illegal immigrants that are coming through, they do not have the same ideology and the same culture that we have in Britain. And so you have this conflict that unless the illegal immigrants are at least ready to integrate, that conflict is not going to go away. Gary Lineker tried to prove to everyone, look, you know, I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk, this, that, and the other, but after a couple of weeks kicked him out. I wonder why. What conflict happened, Gary Lineker, as to why you all of a sudden kicked out that poor illegal immigrant that needed your help?
Totally.
What an absolute tosser he is.
Well, totally, because of course this feud dates back now nearly a decade between Tommy Robinson and Gary Lineker. And the thing is, Based in Bougie, I would say, and this is what's so unfortunate, we're never going to have a reckoning from the mainstream media, but we can have a reckoning here on platforms like all of ours, you know, in the independent media space, because I would argue that everything that the feud was initially sparked from has proved Tommy Robinson right. Because remember, it was back in 2016 when all of the unrest at the Calais migrant camps in France first exploded, that Tommy Robinson was very, very clear to Gary Lineker that these refugees, asylum seekers that Gary Lineker was picturing and trying to spark sort of mass hysteria about their treatment were not all adults. And we since know, Based in Bougie, in the 10 years that has followed, that many of these illegals that entered the country and did pretend that they were much, much younger than they were actually adults, not children. And I just want to remind everyone that at the time, Lineker condemned Tommy Robinson as a racist idiot for simply pointing out that some of those refugees were not children as they claimed to be. And remember, there have been, I can think of actual examples where some of these illegals came over pretending to be children and have gone on to murder patriotic Brits. So isn't it about time that we look back to what happened 10 years ago and remember that it was people like Gary Lineker who allowed this invasion of the country and that led to murders of innocents?
See, the unfortunate thing is that when it comes to people like the Gary Linekers and the Piers Morgans of the world, is that we're never going to get an apology. You know, the only time we're going to get an apology is when pigs start flying, is because these people are so up there, I can't say the word, due to their privilege. Do you understand? But I feel like us as a community who have now, our eyes have finally been open to the reality of what's actually going on in this country with mass migration. We have a duty to be like the Tommy Robinson, to be just as loud as the patriots who were trying to expose this. And that's why I decided to make my platform, because I realized that, wait, these people are being called far right just because of their skin color. And this is not fair. This is not about far right. This is about the safety of people and children. So I feel as though when it comes to people like Gary and the Piers Morgans of the world, they are never going to apologize. But I feel like us, we have platforms, we have a duty to be just as loud about these situations, because these situations have devastated so many communities, and we can't keep allowing this to happen.
100% we can't, because Stef, there are real world victims, and I just worry that we don't talk about them enough. For example, I guess the case for me that always specifically comes to mind is the murder of Thomas Roberts, who was brilliant young guy, you know, aspiring Royal Marine, whole future ahead of him. And he was out on a night out in Bournemouth and he was stabbed to death in a total chance encounter by Lawangin Abdul Ramazi, who was one of those illegals who entered the country pretending to be a child. And we should never forget that. We should never forget that. But first, we've been told our whole lives that wrinkle creams were the easiest way to look younger. Now one doctor says, that's nothing but old news. According to Dr. John Lake, the world-renowned Beverly Hills beauty expert, most wrinkle fixers on the market are nothing but glorified moisturizers. He says they hardly make a dent on your appearance. Some, check this out, can even be harmful to your skin. Recently, Dr. Lake has focused his attention away from mainstream cosmetic practices so he can pursue a revolutionary anti-aging breakthrough, one that some experts say could empty the wallets of the cosmetic industry. He describes it as almost like Photoshop for your face and says you may even be mad after seeing how easy it is to visibly erase your wrinkles from view. His personal clients have dubbed his new do-it-yourself technique the age rewinder method because it can take years or even decades off your appearance in under 2 minutes. In light of this amazing breakthrough, Dr. Lake has released a step-by-step video to the public. It's free, it's uninterrupted, where he outlines exactly how to use this simple solution from home. And he says if it helps even one person look younger or feel more confident, he will be thrilled knowing he helped. The video has since gone viral. At first, it was shared by users on Facebook, but since then, it's racked up over 2.3 million views and counting. The comments and feedback have been outstanding, with thousands of women reporting they look decades younger. One even commented, "Best results of anything I've used. I can't believe how well this works. I'll never stop using this. I don't understand how it works, but the results are great. Thank you." So you can find out more about this yourself right now. Just go to bhmd1.com/outspoken. That's bhmd1.com/outspoken, or click on the link in the description box below. Now, there is one thing Dr. Lake asks from his viewers. If watching this video helps you look and feel younger than you have in years, then please share this video with your friends and loved ones. Together, we have the power to help as many women reclaim a youthful look as possible. So go watch the video at bhmd1.com/outspoken right now, or just click on the link in the description box below. But now, back to the show.
Well, this is the thing when it comes to Gary Lineker and the people like him in that particular sphere, is that they are, as far as I'm concerned, physically removed from the part of the society in the UK that's affected by these illegal immigrants because of, you know, their status, their wealth, where they're living. Let's put it this way. Opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever, would Gary Lineker be as supportive as he is for these illegal immigrants if he lived near an illegal immigrant hotel? Or if his very rich, affluent community was, God forbid, hit by one of those illegal immigrants that went on a knife killing spree or a raping spree, right? Would he be...
Or if he had daughters.
That's exactly. Would he be that supportive, the illegal immigrants, if it was all in his world, in his kind of level of society where he is? No. He has this kind of cookie cutter kind of idea of what these illegal immigrants are. Oh, they're innocents. They're running away from war and poverty, this, that, and the other. What he fails to kind of take into account is between where they're coming from and the UK, they've passed a zillion countries, right, that they could have easily settled in, right? That are not war-torn, that could give them opportunities, this, that, and the other. No, they're coming to the UK because they know they're going to get a free ride. Patrick Christie's on GB News, sorry to bring him up, Dan, in a way, but he did a segment in Calais recently, and the charities that are there are literally putting up how-to guides as to how to safely get across the channel, and when you're in the UK, what to do, and if you're in trouble, where to go, blah, 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 blah. Gary Lineker is far removed from the reality of the situation. It's unreal.
He absolutely is. And based on Bougie, what about the politics of this? Because Tommy Robinson has said for the first time that he might actually back a political party and that he's considering joining. I mean, here's the post. I think I'll join both. Many of those that left Reform because of his lies and attitude towards me have joined Advance UK. So he's talking about Nigel Farage there. And he's talking about two political movements. Firstly, Restore Britain, which is Rupert Lowe's movement, but it's not a party. But he's also talking about Advance UK, which is Ben Habib's political party. Do you think this is a good move for Tommy to join the political fray, or do you think he's more powerful leading a cultural movement?
Well, I've had conversations with Tommy about this when I visited him in jail. So this is news to me that he's actually considering joining a political party. But my honest opinion is that it's all up to Tommy. If he was to ask me my personal opinion, I think that Tommy Robinson has done a great job at leading a social movement. And politics, for me personally, is just not for him because we've seen this many, many times where politicians have almost used Tommy Robinson. And the minute they got Tommy Robinson's supporters as voters, they almost dumped him. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be the case with Ben Habib and Rupert Lowe, but the way I look at politics, I just don't trust anyone no more. Unless it's the UKIP leader, Nick Tenconi, who I think Tommy Robinson should be backing because they've been supporting Tommy Robinson since day one. I just don't have any hope for politicians. But in the end, it really is Tommy Robinson's final decision.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.